Good morning, campers. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Oh my goodness, the dude is still standing in front of me, playing with his arms up. Poor guy's been standing there for over a week. Pop outside. Yep, still there. Alright, so apparently this is the sailplane parking area from what little I was able to see on, why am I 150 Tango Quebec again? I haven't flown that plane in ages. Alright, that's a, 150 Tango Quebec is an Airbus in FS economy. I have no idea why my Savage Cub is set for that. Alright, let's see, where are we going? Short flight south from Truckee-Tahoe Airport before you find a winding stretch of California's SR 267. Follow the road southeast as it rises up through the hills and down toward the majestic northern shores of Lake Tahoe. Alright, so Truckee River Bridge, bank around Tahoe's southwestern edge, along the lake's California side coastline, marinas, vacation resorts, multi-million-dollar views. Body of water so large that its surface is noticeably convex due to the curvature of the Earth. That's fascinating. That's actually really cool. I would love to be able to see that at some point, but I don't know how you would visualize that. Alright, so when you eventually get to Tahoe City, you'll find the Truckee River again, rushing to meet Lake Tahoe Dam. Does the Truckee River flow... It should flow east, right? Because it flows into Reno from Tahoe. Emerald Bay continuing down the coastline. I have to fly around the western coast. Okay, so Lake Tahoe Airport. From Emerald Bay, continue your southeast heading as you gently leave the Lake Tahoe shoreline. Cascade and Fallen Leaf Lakes past Tahoe Mountain. And it's into Lake Tahoe Airport. Okay. Now, the cheating thing we do. My browser. VFR map. Lucky. Hey, look at that. Truckee-Tahoe. And there's Lake Tahoe, TVL. Okay. So where's this dam that we're supposed to... Okay, there's Tahoe City. And I guess this is the Truckee River then? Right? I have no idea. So we're up... Yeah, so here's the Truckee River. And it dumps in... Oh, no, it comes out of the lake. Okay. Oh, wait, so maybe the dam is up here somewhere? I don't know. We'll just follow the coast of the lake and we can't miss the airport. It's huge. From the looks of things. Though, interestingly, uncontrolled. Whereas Truckee-Tahoe is controlled. But we can't dock to the tower anyway because we're in the bush trip, so let's just... I do need a pushback. No, I can just pivot and slap the guy with the rudder. Okay, so let's go ahead and clear this. Let's get off the ground and head for the lake. First things first, fuel. One of those buttons does it, I'm sure. Yep, thought so. Like, that just felt like I left the road. I left the taxiway. Or the parking apron. I don't just want to, like, jam on the brakes when I'm not looking out the window, because that's a really good way to just tip this plane up on its nose. Okay. Gently on the brakes. There we go. All right, let's check. Radios doesn't matter because I can't talk to ATC anyway. That is on altitude reporting. Good. Let's go ahead and get our lights both on. And I think we're ready to, alright, ready to go. Let's do a control check real quick. Doodle-doodle-doo. Controls. Doodled. Alright. Let's get this thing back in the air. Alright, so we are back to flying with the Thrustmaster T16000 joystick because I accidentally fried my my flight yoke. So we're back to somewhat more authentic, slightly more authentic hub controls. There we go. Oh, I forgot how much I prefer flying this plane with stick. Also, the stick is off to my left like it's an Airbus, so it's not like directly in front of me like the control stick in the actual plane would be. A little bit to the right of the runway. Alright, so there's one of the big ski resorts like directly in front of us, so that should mean a left turn, I think, will get us to the should get us to the lake. All right, let's trim. There's Truckee. So I-80's on the north side of the... Yeah. Complete the bush trip without using Get Me Back on Track to get an achievement. Yay! Still going for that, by the way. Okay. So having the stick here actually makes my controls slightly more awkward because the stick to look around is now behind the joystick. Whoops. Let's check the map again real quick, just make sure we're going in vaguely the right direction. Actually, no, according to this, I'm going in the completely wrong direction. Cool. Alright, so we need to go just south and east-ish. So let's just get a look at our compass here. We're going north. Completely turned around here. Oh, that's fantastic. Just pop outside and... Yep, that's Interstate 80. I just completely screwed that up. Which side of Truckee am I on? Oh, you know what? I bet the lake's over here. Yeah, because there's the port of entry. Okay, got my bearings back, We're good. Nailed it. Just absolutely nailed it. Great start to the video. There's the lake. Just had to get a little altitude, that's all. Back inside. You know, that thing normal pilots do where they just briefly have an out-of-body experience to get their bearings. Let's get my feet off the pedals. No need for that at this height. We're going to be flying mostly straight lines. Pro tip: if you, if like me, you have the T-flight rudder pedals, those little like heel rests on the pedals can come off. And if you remove them, the pedals are way more comfortable, in my opinion. Because then you can just put the ball of your feet like right on the pivot point. So it's just like the toe brakes are actually toe brakes and not entire front of foot brakes. And I don't know about you, but like I like my heel being below the pedals a little bit. And you can totally just fly the plane if you're not in a landing configuration. You can just fly the plane with your feet on like the bottom half of the pedal and your heels resting on the ground, which is much more comfortable. That was me touching the stick. Okay, let's level off here. Did I just like perfectly hit the right power setting to level off? Oh, I'm gonna be pretty tickled with that if I nailed that. Without having to retrim? Oh my gosh. Look at this wizardry. Nope, we're climbing again. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so the airport that we're looking for will be on the far side of the lake. So the game wants us to go around this side. And I think the airport's going to be somewhere around here. So we could just beeline directly for it. Which, if you take off from the same runway I did at Truckee-Tahoe, literally just go right around the ski resort that's directly in front of you. Just around that mountain to the left, and there's the lake. Don't do what I did and turn. The turning was a mistake. The ski resort is the correct way to go. I assume this is the highway it was talking about. So yeah, we're gonna just bear around the right side of the lake, or the west side of the lake, sorry, which is right to me. I really don't want to gain too much altitude because I don't know what height those clouds are at. Did we encounter clouds at any other point in this trip? I don't think we did. But the game like saves your state from go to go, so maybe this is like something that's set to happen a certain amount of time into the flight. Things get cloudy. We're actually super close to the end of this series of flights. Got like just cut across Lake Tahoe, and then I think we go down toward Mono Lake, and then from Mono Lake it's just basically follow 140 through Yosemite to the final airport. Oh, I guess I left multiplayer turned on. Well, that's interesting. Who are you? They're too far away to be anything other than a light. And I've got nameplates turned off. I need to get, there's a mod that lets you like use the backspace key to make nameplates appear and disappear. I really need to get that installed. I saw Clumsy was using that. That's like just a fantastic idea. Like I don't want nameplates around all the time because they're kind of performance hogs, and you know, sometimes the screen names aren't the best for putting onto YouTube. But it would be nice to actually be able to check that sort of thing. Just like see if that's another player or an airline or whatever. So yeah, there's been 2 changes to my flight controls since the previous leg, and that is that I can turn off my landing light now. It's killing my battery up here. Oh. Wait, no, I fixed that already. Whew. Panic, sorry. I just had the thought, like, oh, did I fix that? Did I fix that? My last, oh. One moment. My last flight I did with a Savage Cub ended in disaster because my alternator was never turned on. Power management. Did I? No. Instruments and systems. Electrics. Okay, I did fix it. Alternator is on. Good. Alternator's on. Okay. So this is in the actual plane here. The alternator and the battery are a single switch. So you don't need to do separate ones. But if you set them, if you map them to controls, you see, then one can turn on without the other. And I only had battery mapped to for the battery switch in the thing. And if you just got the battery switch mapped, it still switches in the cockpit when you hit the button on your actual physical controller. Let's go back. Resume. Where's the battery switch? I think... Okay, yeah, the battery switch is literally just the key. Like, the key will turn based on the battery switch state on the real-life controller. And what you don't know, though, is that in the game, it's only sending the battery command and not the alternator command. Like, in the game, if you take your mouse, you click this, the battery and the alternator both come on. If you map the battery to a button, and you click that instead, only the battery comes on and not the alternator. So you can do a nice long flight, land, and your battery's dead. Which happened to me in a ferry flight with my... I bought a Savage Cub in FS Economy. That happened to me with that. So yes, good to map a switch to the alternator and the battery. Just flicked it off and on real quick just to make sure that, like, because the save state may have only been battery on and alternator off. So flicking that switch, make sure it knows that the alternator should also be on. Okay, I think we're good. As I play with my pedals. I think we're okay. That should be crisis averted. Alright. Flying the plane at my feet right now. Very small pedal movements, and you can just roll the plane left and right without having to touch the stick. It's great. So you can fly the plane and at the same time have a soda. Responsible piloting. Look, it's been a long flight. As far as my character is concerned, we haven't spent 5 minutes on the ground for like 8 hours. I haven't actually added up the amount of time that I've spent on this flight, but it's more than I wanted to spend on this flight, on this series of flights when I started this series. But a lot of people have found at least the first 2 videos pretty helpful. That first airport can be a little tricky to find, apparently, if you don't know, if you can't, like, get yourself to the... If you're not good at the navigating thing, that first leg is a doozy. That's a long one. It's a really long one. And then figuring out the fuel situation, also pretty important, it turns out. A lot of people have been watching that video, which is like leg 2 of the bush trip, where I filled y'all in on how to refuel the plane. Which is, you know, map a button for add fuel. Very simple. Very simple. But yeah, And now also, if you have the Honeycomb Bravo Throttle quadrant and you've got a button map for your battery, now you know why the alternator's turned off. You know why your plane died on the runway ages ago. Which I assume that's not just a Bravo problem. I assume that's just like an any control setup with a battery switch problem. That is lovely. It's probably more lovely from like down closer to the water. So let's descend. I don't need to be up this high. Like we can. So the cool thing about, yeah, there we go. The lake is at 6229. The airport's at 6268. So it's only 40 feet above the water line. The lake's altitude. It's a really nifty thing with VFR maps. Is if there's a large body of water, it'll give you the elevation for the body of water, which is really handy for. Yeah, well, if you have a plane that can land on water, it's very useful, I would imagine. Speaking of, I need to check. I think one of the, someone said that one of the planes that's in the marketplace has floats, and I didn't realize it did, because I think it's just like one of the configurations. It's like a Cessna Bird Dog, I think. If that has floats, we need to pick that up, because that's in FS Economy, and I would love to actually have a seaplane in FS Economy. So I'm not a huge fan of the Bird Dog as a plane, just it's like, why would I buy a Bird Dog when I can just get a 152, you know? But if it's got floats, that's worth it. It's definitely worth it. I wonder if the Piper has enough power to take off on floats if it had them. Would be curious to try. So again, some of the basics for just like how to fly this plane. What we did there to descend, instead of pitching the plane nose down, we just decreased the throttle, which is more effective, and you just wind up staying roughly the same airspeed, but losing altitude. Because the primary force that we are using to climb and descend is changing the amount of lift being generated by the wing. The lift is a force that pushes against the air to bring the airplane up, which is just generated by the wings, and that force increases the faster you are going forward. So if you increase your thrust, your lift increases, and rather than just your speed going up, instead, your speed stays roughly the same, but you just start climbing because you're just increasing the lift, basically, instead of your airspeed. It's all very fascinating, the balancing of the forces involved. It's very cool. And you can also change the amount of lift you have by changing your angle of attack. And that changes the amount of drag you're experiencing, and that can modify your airspeed. It's all very fun. It's constantly balancing these forces. It's just... it's the part of this that I enjoy the most, I think. Oh, look at that beach. That looks lovely. I would love to hang out there for like 5 minutes and then leave. Because that's the kind of person I am. Alright, so there's a couple of lakes, so the airport should be... ish. Somewhere around here. Oh, because I want to say, since it's at such a low altitude, probably this flat bit right here is where it is. In fact, I would almost say it's probably that particularly linear patch right there. We'll see when we get closer. It is a beautiful day for flying. I'm really glad the game gave us such a good weather preset for this. Oh, look at all the ducks! Oh, that's kind of cool. So the way the game does the water is that the ground texture is visible through the water at the very edges, so you can still see features like docks and, you know, a couple of boats. But then as the water gets deeper, it's more opaque. So you don't get, like, boats that are far from shore showing up. Also means you get, like, ghost boats for, like, the really big ships that are parked next to the coastline. They just appear as, like, a ghostly silhouette. So it looks like they're sunk. It's very cool. Very cool. Some interesting terrain things happening on this side of Lake Tahoe. I've never actually been to Lake Tahoe. I've only been through Truckee. I never had any reason to go south of there. Not really a whole lot of... there's not really any through routes for over-the-road trucks down here, so it's mostly just handled by local folks. There's typical OTR trucks are, you know, 53-foot trailers and sleeper cabins, so they're over 65 feet long, which means that they're restricted to very specific highways in the state of California, and that does not include U.S. Highway 50, which is the main way out of the southern side of Lake Tahoe. So you can go into Tahoe on US 50 from Nevada. That's a truck route. That's an interstate truck route. But in California, US 50 is only an interstate truck route from the foothills of the Sierras and west. You can't go like up into the mountains on US 50 with an interstate truck, unless you've got like one of the few remaining cab overs from that era of American trucking history. You basically need a cab over and a 48-foot trailer to get under 65 feet. And then you can go basically wherever you want in California, because most California state highways are what they call black routes, which are 65-foot legal roads. 65-foot legal roads for single trailers. Double trailers, I think, are 75 feet maximum. So STAA doubles, which is like a day cab and two 28-foot trailers, they can go a lot of places. They can go a lot of places that interstate trucks cannot. But they have, you know, much tighter turning radius as far as off-tracking is concerned. They don't need turns cut quite as severely as me with my 53-footer would need. That's a neat little feature. There's a little island right there. I wonder if that's like some kind of volcanic situation going. Like this is like a collapsed crater and that's just like the beginnings of the next new mountain. Probably not. But it's fun to think about. We'll be going past Mono Lake later, and that's definitely a volcano. It's definitely a volcano with a new cinder cone in the middle. The whole thing is a crater. Just a giant lake that exploded at some point in the not too distant past. Actually, a very distant past, I think, but, you know, geological timescales, not as long ago as human beings might wish it had been. Not saying it could happen tomorrow, but certainly wouldn't call it extinct. Actually, it might be considered... I don't think it's considered extinct. I think they're like actively monitoring that as a volcano. California has like a whole volcano observatory system. It's great. It's very fascinating. It's one of those things that I just did not even think about as a hazard before moving out here. It's like, oh, volcanoes, psh, that doesn't happen anymore. That's not a thing. Nope, that's a thing. That's a thing. There's volcanoes all over California. Just hasn't been any that have exploded recently. Like you thought the earthquakes were bad. Guess what? The mountains can also explode. See, at least that doesn't happen anymore up in like Montana. You just got Yellowstone to worry about, and that's it. And when Yellowstone goes, you won't have anything else to worry about ever again. So it's like there's nothing to really be prepared for. Gonna take basically the entire state of Montana with it. Ooh, there's the marina. Excellent. And I believe I see the airport over here. Okay, this is cool. Is this photogrammetry? This looks fantastic if this is autogen. If this is autogen, it did a great job. Yeah, I think this might just be autogen. Wow. This is like the kind of area where autogen is... Okay, yeah, see, because it messed up a couple of these buildings that probably shouldn't be high-rises. Wow, that's like a remarkably good job. A lot of work being done there by the docks being visible through the water. It's part of the ground texture. That's cool. Alright. Which runway do I need? Yeah, that's definitely an airport here. Alright, cool. Let's get back in the plane. Alright, let's bleed off some speed by pitching up a bit. There we go. Drop a notch of flaps. Yeah, I can see a pappy right now, too. That's excellent. Surprising for an uncontrolled airport. But I was looking at the outline of it on the FR map, and it when you see the outline having that like little extension, that rectangular bit jutting out from it, suggests there's an instrument approach. So I guess I shouldn't be too surprised that it's got a pappy. Alright. Let's bring our altitude down nice and quick. Landing light on. Nice long displaced threshold there. That's fun. It's a long enough runway. I don't think we really need the full flaps. Because, yeah, the parking area is kind of down a bit and off to the right. So, yeah, we'll just... one flaps landing. Alright. Let's do a nice 2-point landing. Boom. Let our speed fall off and our nose come up and our tail drop. There we go. That was a nice... That was a good 2-point landing. A little bit hard. Oop. That's why you keep the back pressure on the stick. Alright, let's bring the flaps up. We're just going to follow this little yellow line off to the right. Interesting that that yellow line started to the left of the center line. That was usually not the way they do that. Usually they start them on the inside of the center line. I don't know. I don't know how they decide what markings to put down. I think a lot of them are based on whatever's present in the ground texture. There must be like an algorithm for that or something, right? Oh, interesting. This airport's apparently big enough for... That's a control tower. That's a control tower. That's what? It's definitely not a controlled airport. Yet. Tower. Maybe Flight Simulator thinks this is a towered airport? Who knows? I was just surprised because it had the green taxi center line lights. Not really a thing for little airports. maybe this airport is not as little as I thought. Hello. Huh. Oh, my landing light's still on. Fixed it. And my strobe. Whoops. Oh, that's fascinating. That must have been another player. On a very different weather setting from me, taking off that way. Well, actually, I guess the weather settings are pretty chill right now. But it definitely wasn't another Cub, so they weren't doing the bush trip. Alright, let's just roll our butts right into this first parking spot. It's just perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now again, we're going to be doing some hard braking here, so elevator up. So we can stop on a dime without tipping over on our nose. Apparently we're going too slow and it ended the flight anyway. There we go. Leg complete. 34 minutes. Not bad. A little bit longer than it was expecting. Ooh, that looks like a high-speed exit. Interesting. Yeah, this airport's like definitely configured to handle some bigger planes. Huh. Very interesting indeed. I'm going to like look this up a little bit. Alright, so the next leg, Alpine County. I'm probably going to just record that right now and see you all in that video. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Eliodare. You can find me on the internet at Eliodare on Xbox Live, Steam, Nintendo Switch, etc. Come say hello in the comments. I do read them all because I'm still a tiny channel and always will be. But thank you guys so much for watching and have a great day.